The word community sounds odd and a bit dispiriting. Some pretty negative images tend to come to mind. When we think about what other people are like, without quite realizing it, we draw on images fed to us by the media. And that's why we tend to think that most people are pretty violent, driven by success and fame, and not necessarily very pleasant. It breeds an urge to stay at home and make private life the center of things. We associate happiness with standing out from the crowd, with personal happiness, the nuclear family, and business success. Community feels like it's for losers. The individual is king.
Still full of running, and it's Götze! It's Mario Götze! It's super...
But then, there are some weird moments. A big sporting event, an election day, extreme weather like a big snowfall, and we might make a discovery as basic as it's absolutely crucial. Most people are very nice. They're interested in small things. They're mild and moderate. They're funny. They're kind. They want to help. Despite some surface differences, they're like you. A painfully exciting idea comes to mind. If we could more regularly generate communal moments, meet people, hang out in groups, we wouldn't have to imagine that the whole world was so competitive and so dangerous. We wouldn't have to be so guarded, closed off, suspicious. We wouldn't be so focused on our own love lives and all their issues. We've allowed our worldview to be kidnapped by the media, by narcissists and sociopaths. We've allowed our sense of what's normal to be shaped by newspapers and television stations that make money from creating imaginary communities of monsters and pointing out everything that's wrong and to be scared of. We've allowed the kinder elements to seem like they're the exceptions, when it's in fact the bad that's the exception. It's time to change. What happens on those special occasions is the truth. Other people aren't strange or so different. We can trust in community. Of course, we need some special occasions, some encouragement to come out of ourselves. We're still too shy. At the moment, we only know how to do it around sport or the odd other occasion. But we should more regularly come together and learn how to do so. We should ensure that the nicest buildings in every neighborhood are the community centers. There's a huge part of us that longs to live more collectively. It's hugely beneficial to be able to feel enthusiastic and committed to one's whole society, to feel reassured by membership of an admirable community. Collective pride takes the burden of self-regard off the individual ego. We don't have to do it all ourselves. We can belong to something better and sometimes greater than we are.
Hi, good morning, West family. It's so good to be here. My name is Lexi Hernandez. I've been on staff here at West for almost 2 years now, which I can't believe. And last month, I graduated with my local pastor license, so now I'm officially a pastor. I lead Growth Co., our ministry for people in their 20s and 30s, and typically I'm running the chat. Josh is so kind this morning to run the chat for me, so say hello to him. And if you have any questions about Growth Co., then please ask them in the chat. I probably won't answer them during the message today, but I will definitely get back to you sometime this week. If you are new here and this is your first time joining us, thank you for being here. And please text the number you see on the screen. That number is 704-343-8955. Text the word welcome, and we would love to send you a gift. Now, while we listen to this first song, today we are going to be talking about the power of people and community. Hopefully, that video spoke to you in some way, shape, or form. But during the first song, please type in the chat the last time you felt lonely. I know that is a very heavy question, but it's an important question for today. And if you would be so kind to share your answer, that would be great. Please enjoy the song.
In a time full of war, be peace. In a time full of doubt, just believe. Yeah, there ain't that much difference between you and me. In a time full of war, be peace. In a world full of hate, be alive. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be a light. La 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 la. In a place that needs a change, make a difference. In a time full of noise, just listen. 'Cause life is but a breeze, better live it. In a place that needs to change, make a difference. In a world full of hate, be alive. When you do somebody wrong, make it right.
Oh, don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine.
In a world full of hate, be alive. La 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 la. 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 In a race that you can't win, slow it down. Yeah, you only get a one go around. 'Cause the finish line is 6 feet in the ground.
In a race you can't win, just slow it down.
In a world full of hate, be alive.
Oh,
When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be alive. Yeah, it's hard to live in color when you just see black and white. In a world full of hate, be a light.
So I'm not sure how many of you are readers, but I love to read. I have my Kindle here with me today. This past weekend, obviously not this weekend, the weekend before, I read a book by Jenny Allen, and it's called How to Find Your People, Building Deep Community in a Lonely World. And I wanted to talk about finding your people with you today. So I'm going to read to you a page from the introduction of this book. It says, "It hasn't always been this way. In nearly every generation since creation began, people have lived in small communities, hunting together, cooking together, taking care of their kids together. No locks and no doors. They shared communal fires outside and long walks to get water, doing their best to survive day by day. People were rarely alone. They lived communally and shared spaces with a variety of generations present, leveraging each other's talents, sharing each other's resources, knowing each other's business, caring for each other's family members, holding each other accountable, and having each other's backs, not just to stay alive, but also in an effort to live more fulfilled together." Now, we kind of have lost that in today's world, and a lot of it has to do with the pandemic. But honestly, in a study from 2019, people already said that 3 out of 5 of them considered themselves lonely. Now, that was pre-pandemic. Could you imagine what today's numbers were? I could almost put money on it that we're probably 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 in today's world. So I want to start off with some history. Back in the 1920s, I'm going to butcher his name, but I will try my best. A social philosopher named Bronislaw Milwaukee. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at pronouncing things that I'm not familiar with. Anyways, in the 1920s, he wanted to figure out how to sell more toasters. Now, this is post-industrial war, mass production. Everything's kind of starting to get a little more individualized. But the birth of the nuclear family became in existence. So the nuclear family stated that now, instead of families with grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts, uncles, your family should be 2 adults and 2.5 children. This is also the time in the United States when individual residents began popping up, neighborhoods with white picket fences and things like that. So in hopes to sell more toasters, he created the nuclear family concept so that each family got their own toaster instead of sharing toasters within families or with neighbors. And I thought that was honestly one of the most fascinating parts of the entire book, because it turned out being a marketing scheme which helped us create the nuclear family. So strange. So that's the history of the nuclear family. And from there, they started to say, like, okay, what else can we do to where you don't share with your neighbors as much? Like, I personally in my life have never went to my neighbor and asked for a cup of milk or an egg, but I know my mom probably did, and I definitely know my grandparents probably did. If you did that, I also want to know in the chat, because I want to know if it's a generational thing and how far back that kind of stopped. But the nuclear family started in the 1920s, and from there we have become more and more of an individualistic community. Also, something about me is I become obsessive over musicians. And I know you're probably like, okay, so what's the link with musicians and the nuclear family? Well, I love learning. I love learning as much as I possibly can. And sometimes I learn so much that I overwhelm myself with the information. And then I'm like, okay, so now I have all this knowledge about this topic, but what do I do now? Tony, my family, my best friends, they'll all vouch for me that I become obsessed with a musician to the point where I'll learn every single song, every single word. I'll know their mom's birthday. I don't know their band members' birthdays. I just learn everything about them so that I can really connect with the music. Now, I say that to share with you that I'm not going to give you all of this information today and then give us absolutely nothing to do with it moving forward. So, some action items moving forward when it comes to knowing how to live communally, because that's how God intended us to be. We are supposed to connect with one another and form deep relationships with each other, with family, with friends, with God, because we are not meant to live this life alone. Now, that's also not to say that we should never be alone. There are times and places where you should spend time by yourself, and you should really accept yourself just who you are. You don't need other people's validation, but there is something about connecting with one another in a communal setting that really just can fulfill you and bring more to your life. So first, we're going to talk about how to notice. This is not, it's an action item, but it doesn't require much of you except for noticing the people who are already around you. So for instance, I'm in here right now and I'm filming this, but Josh is back here, Dave is back here, and Mickey is back here. So I don't even have to talk to them really directly, but I can observe, like, okay, I am physically here in this space. Also in this space with me, sharing this space and working, are these 3 other people. So why don't you try that when you go to the coffee shop, when you go to the grocery store, when you're sitting at home. I can't tell you how many times Tony and I will be sitting on the couch and I forget that he's even there because we're so lost scrolling in our phones. We just sit there and we're totally living an individual life just in the same space. So just notice where you are, notice where people already are with you, and then move on from there. After you notice, then take the step to initiate. This can also happen at coffee shops and the grocery store, anywhere that you already are. So it's going to be awkward, but that's okay because awkward is good. I know everybody typically does not like awkward situations, but you only grow when you step outside of your comfort zone, which usually is pretty awkward. So initiating can look like, hey, Josh, maybe after the service today, do you want to go to lunch? They might reject you and they might say no, but it's that putting yourself out there and giving yourself the opportunity to build connection. So in college, one of my roommates and best friends, her name is Caitlin, and she would always ask us at the most annoying and the most random times, hey, do you want to go to the grocery store with me? Hey, do you want to go get gas? Hey, I'm running to McDonald's for a drink. Do you want to come? And we would all roll our eyes and we would say no. In reality, looking back on it, I really owe her an apology for rejecting her all of those times because really I traded an opportunity to bond with one of my best friends and roommates for a time for me to sit on the couch, watch something mindless, lay in bed, scroll on my phone. I used to think she was crazy for always wanting to do that, but now I really miss it and I regret not telling her yes, that I would just randomly go with her. So even if you're not needing to go to the store or to the gas station, maybe invite somebody or ask if you can go along with them because it's in those little moments that you can really bond with somebody and build a better connection or deepen your friendship. And then after you initiate, stay. I think lots and lots of us have been taught the mindset these days to where if it doesn't serve you, then leave it. Bye, see ya, adios. And that's not really helpful for you or the other party involved. We need to learn how to say things like, I'm sorry, I forgive you, will you forgive me? And learn how to deal with conflict through our relationships. Or if we continue to just act like one little inconvenience is not going to serve us, it's not going to help any of us, then we will end up lonely. And loneliness is the last thing that we want, especially in today's world. COVID really escalated this for us, and I think everyone's pretty used to being isolated, and I don't know. Even for me, like I consider myself an extrovert, but there have been times, especially here lately, where I'm like, I would rather stay at home. Like last night, we had made plans with Lane, our children and youth minister, and her partner JT to go to Hoptown, the local brewery, because one of our favorite musicians was playing. And when the time came, I was like, man, I had just had my birthday dinner with my family, and I didn't know if I wanted to pack up and go all the way to town into Hoptown. But we did it, and I do not regret it. I'm so thankful that we did that because we connected not only with the group that we were there with and the musician, but we made lots of new friends. Our dog Bear is very social, and she gets us a lot of attention when we're out and about. And we probably made, no joke, maybe 8 new friends from just bringing Bear with us last night. So it's just that, like, even when you don't want to do it, you really should put yourself out there and try to build connections and make new friends. And this is not only with your already your nuclear friend group. Like I would say I've got about 2 to 3 really, really good friends that I know I can count on, but I also love meeting new people. And there's something about just like meeting a stranger and then seeing what you may or may not have in common. Lane and I always talk here in the office about how It's so good to have a group of friends who don't necessarily think exactly the way you do. I mean, there's hardly any growth when you surround yourself with people who have the same political views as you. They like the same things you like. They like the same foods you like. I love meeting people who I have nothing in common with. It's also very nice to have things in common with people, but there's so much growth that happens in my friendships where we usually don't see eye to eye on things because there's a mutual respect between us, and it helps me grow to learn other perspectives, and I hope that my friends can say that they grow outside of that as well. So in the chat, I also want to see, this is going to be another fun question. I want to take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and sorry, I didn't know we were going to do this, so they up here have no idea, but I want to take a few minutes, and I want to see not only when was the last time you felt lonely, but when was the last time you invited someone to do something? I know that doesn't sound like that big of a question, but I want to know when you last invited someone to join you to do something. And I'm not sure what we can do for those 2 minutes, but okay, let's play a song because I really want to know in the chat when you guys last invited someone to do something.
Whatever I face, whatever the fear, whatever the cost, you always draw near. Whatever the pain, whatever may come, whatever may fall, your love overcomes. Your love overcomes. I will call upon you. Whatever I face, you are with me. I will fall on my knees. For every heartbreak, you will hold me. You will hold me. Whatever I face, whatever the fear, whatever the cost, you always draw near. Whatever the pain, whatever may come, whatever may fall, your love overcomes. Your love overcomes. I will call upon you. Whatever I face, you are with me. I will fall on my knees. For every heartbreak, you will hold me. You will hold me. And every wall will break, all the darkness shake, all the joy will be renewed. So every knee let's bow, raise a victory shout, for the King will make things new. Every mountain move, every lie be loose, for your banner we're lifting high. For neither death nor height, nor any life could ever cast your love aside. Every wall will break, all the darkness shake, all the joy will be renewed. So every knee let's bow, raise a victory shout, for the King will make things new. I will call upon you. Whatever I face, I will call upon you. Whatever I face, you are with me. I will fall on my knees. For every heartbreak, you will hold me. Whatever I face, whatever the fear, whatever the cost, you always draw near. Whatever the pain, whatever may come, whatever may fall, your love overcomes. Your love overcomes.
Okay, thank you for participating in that. I really want to thank all of you because Josh is shouting out everything that you're saying in the chat, and you guys are really engaging, and I really appreciate that because I am curious. I'm so sorry to those of you who have said that you felt lonely in the past few days or weeks. Hopefully we can, after today's message, figure out some ways that can be more communal for us and we can get engaged and involved with others around us. Scarlett and Alec, I love that you do errand dates, and I think that's the cutest term for that, and I actually think Tony and I should start doing that because usually if Tony and I try to go to the grocery store together, it ends up in like almost a brawl in the middle of the like milk aisle because we can never agree on what we should be getting at the grocery store. So we try to avoid going together, but if we call it an errand date, we might just have to figure out how to do that together anyways. So I want to share a verse with you guys. If you would meditate on this image on the screen while I read it to you, that would be great. We are looking at Romans 12, and we're going to go to verse 4. In this way, we are like the various parts of a human body. Each part gets its meaning from the body as a whole, not the other way around. The body we're talking about is Christ's body. Each of us finds our meaning and function as a part of a whole. As a chopped off finger or cut off toe, we wouldn't amount to much, would we? Since we find ourselves fashioned into all these excellently formed and marvelously functioning parts in Christ's body, let's just go ahead and be what we were made to be, without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other or trying to be something we aren't. Okay, so I know this was a pretty short message, but it's very important to me, and I hope that it resonates with you guys and you can find some comfort in it as well. There are most days where I'm not feeling like I want to talk to anybody, see anybody, hang out with anybody, but community is key. We were meant to be communal. We are creatures who crave and desire connection with other human beings. And it can be as silly as a significant other, a brother, sister, a mother, father, grandparents, random stranger, friends. Just because you spend a lot of time with someone does not mean that they know you. It's time that we open up our doors. We have a no door policy maybe sometimes, and we really let our guard down and let people get to know us. Isolation may feel good in the moment because sometimes people can be a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie. It can be an inconvenience to deal with people, especially those who get on your nerves, but guess what? We love them anyways, and we hope that they love us because that's how it's supposed to be, and that's what we're meant to do. Our life will be way more fulfilled if we work in community. I can very much promise you that. Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you so much for making us communal creatures. It's so nice to always have people that we can lean on when needed and that we can be that same resource for others. It is my hope that from today's message, we can start being more communal and start connecting with one another on deeper levels than we've ever thought possible. Not only will connecting with each other make our lives more meaningful, but it will also help aid us in connecting with you. Thank you so much for this life, the gift of others, and for helping us connect with one another each and every day in whatever way that may look like for everybody. Amen. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I hope you enjoy this sunny day. Well, not sunny. It's rainy here in Mooresville. I hope it's sunny somewhere else for everybody else. I hope you join us next week. We are going to continue this series, The Power of ... and fill in the blank. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week.
Ramblers in the wilderness, we can't find what we need. Get a little restless from the searching, get a little worn down in between. Like a bull chasing the matadors, a man left to his own schemes. Everybody needs someone beside them, shining like a lighthouse from the sea. Brother, let me be your shelter, I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. Face down in the desert now, there's a cage locked around my heart. I found a way to drop the keys where my failures were. Now my hands can't reach that far. I ain't made for a rivalry. I could never take this world alone. I know that in my weakness I am stronger. It's your love that brings me home. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. And when you call and meet me near, saying where you go, brother, I'm right here. And on those days when the sky begins to fall, you're the blood of my blood, we can get through it all. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're feeling low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home.